Good morning, baby girl.
Hey, sweet cheeks, how you doing?
I am doing very well. I am obviously in my black girl era,
Amazingness.
and I'm giving you all the different hairstyles in the last few weeks. You're going to be seeing even more going into the summer. All the different styles are going to be coming out. All the different stuff's going to be coming out.
I love it.
It's a big change, but we got to make things happen. Listen, y'all. Today we're going to talk about something that many women have tried, but then they keep falling off. It's the consistency that's going to make it work. Morgan and I have been on both sides of the tracks and we know that it works. So let's go ahead and get into this topic. I understand that there's a bullfrog somewhere. Like, so if y'all hear the bullfrog, it's not me, right? The great outdoors are coming through the window, all right? And so we've got the bullfrogs starting to wake up on our little water feature outside, and they're making a lot of noise. So we're going to just ignore that that's happening. So today we're going to be talking about journaling. And we chose this topic because as we kind of inch out of the first half of 2025, can you believe that? We're about to inch out of the beginning of the start of 2020, the first half. We really believe, Morgan and myself, that this is something that really helps you to get to after. Remember, this house that you've fallen into, we're all about reminding midlife women that healing doesn't have an age limit. All right. Just because you come 40 and you start sweating and you hot or using the bathroom a lot. I'm just saying. Just because all that stuff starts to happen, your kids are starting to leave or get on your nerves, whatever, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden now you have to give up or give in. There are ways to start over really easily with very minimal funds and minimal time. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
You know what? Honestly, Tone, this is a topic that I love talking about because it helped me through so much, and especially like through my darkest times. It's such a good one. I can't even help but love it and want to talk about it all the time. Okay, so before we dive in, let's go ahead and take a minute. Let's go ahead and take off our shoes, put your feet firmly on the ground, take some deep breaths in and out through your nose. We're going to go ahead and try to rest your eyes. If you're in a place to be able to do so, just go ahead and close them or soften your gaze a little bit. And what we're trying to do right here is just be still. Just enjoy the moment, be able to be exactly where you need to be at this moment in time. So we're going to, if you can, go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose, and we're going to slowly blow it out through our mouth. So I invite you to do so now. We're going to breathe in and out. We're going to do this about 3 times. Let's breathe in and out. And one more time. Breathe in. And as we're breathing out slowly, I want you to go ahead and I want you to gently scan from the top of your head all the way down through your body. And we're going to start at the top of our head, and I want you to release any tension that you might have in your jaw, a headache, any tension that you have. Massage your jaw a little bit if you can. Open it, close it, move it from side to side. What we're trying to do is just release anything that we have in our body and just brush it off. And scan lower through your body. Any heaviness you feel in your chest or in your stomach, go ahead and put your hand on your chest. Just feel the air come in and out through your lungs. Put your hand on your belly, loosen your belly, and enjoy just being in this moment. Take some deep breaths, and we're just going to be breathing normally as we are here right now. Then I'd like for you to take your hands and slowly slide them down to your thighs. You're going to rub your hands back and forth on your thighs so you can feel the friction, drawing attention to the heat, to the warmth, to the texture. Feeling yourself sitting in your chair. We're just acknowledging all of the things that we're feeling and we're sensing, anything you're hearing, smelling, any sounds that you're picking up on. Take in another deep breath and release. And when you take in your next deep breath, I would like you to release any negative feelings, thoughts, emotions, anger, anxiety, tension, frustrations that you might be holding that you have in the rest of your body, and just release it out through the balls and the flats of your feet into the ground. And as you're doing that, take one more breath in and out. And then I welcome you to join me back whenever you're ready.
Oh, girl, my whole shoulder just cracked up. You know, thank you for that, Morgan. It's so interesting because I always think I come here pretty relaxed. I mean, the whole reason to come to Getting to After is to release tension, is to have that moment. That's why we like to, do a premiere every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. This is that empowering place for midlife women. So, in case you're feeling like you're not empowered anywhere, someone isn't seeing you, come join us because we want you to have that place right here. In general, just have to be very transparent. I like to be that something in there, so I'm going to have to work on that one. When I finally get the recording of this, I'm going to redo that one because something seized me and I almost started crying there. Sometimes we are moving through life and we're going through so well. Everything's happening. Everything's in its proper place. We have everything on the right shelf, Morgan. But in reality, there's something just beneath. There's something just beneath. And when you do these kind of grounding exercises, kind of breathing exercise, or when you do the tapping with us, you will find that some of that gets released. And it's so important that you do release it before you try and go out and do your day and think everything's okay. So thank you. Journaling has been like that for me as well. It's been a lifeline for me. I've journaled since I was a child. The little locked diaries, you want to give me a gift as a child, give me a little diary with that little gold key, child. I was happy if I had one of those. I've always collected journals. I mean, you've seen some of my collection. I have journals I won't even write in. Like, it just has my name and where I got them from. That's a big deal to me.
Yes, because they're so pretty sometimes.
Yes. Yes. I've seen some of yours. Gorgeous. But I've also used, recorders. So I've got my phone, I've got journals in different ways. Some that I type into my notes, some that I record with my voice because I do like to use my voice audio. And then, of course, I also use my book. I do want to let you know today that if you want my book, you can always get it on Amazon. I'm going to put it in the link below because I'm going to show you a little bit about how we use this to get some of the journaling in. I find that me putting down happy things, sad things, weird things, secrets that I can't tell anyone. Even when it got a little bit weird, like after I got married, and I got married in my early 20s, and it got a little weird, like I should be telling him everything, or I should be telling God everything. Like, why am I still writing in a book? And then eventually I had to realize that, are you crazy? Like, you need this. You know what I mean? You need this. Well over 15 years ago when I started my blog, and it was called Positivitales, I know. And basically, I started this list, this focus, attention, and take time list, right? So that's where this book came from. And my goal was to create a list of 3,000 things that made me happy that I could focus on because I was going through such a difficult time. And so, at that time, Twitter was kind of like, it wasn't new, but people weren't all using it. So I used to put my list up on my blog, and then I would invite other people to give me theirs. And then I would put theirs up on the blog. And subsequently in 2020, that's how the book got published. It started from a necessity. It started from journaling. And that's why there's a journaling component in here. From those journal pages, I was able to kind of release a lot of the negativity that I was going through, but I also wanted to anchor in things that were working, that were positive. So even though I've often been told, oh, everything's rose-colored glass with you, you're the princess, all that hate. The truth of the matter is it was born out of angst. It was born out of necessity. And a lot of it happened because I was journaling things out. What's been your kind of experience with journaling?
I do love that you said that it's about writing things out, because during some of my hardest times when we were going through everything, keeping a log kind of,
Mhm.
it helped me work through things because I would forget so much stuff. I was constantly in like a huge fight or flight kind of thing,
Yes.
where I would forget days, I would forget moments. So then you mentioned to me to start writing things down. You're like, if it's safe. And that's one
Right.
thing I make sure to bring out to all of you. Sometimes it's not safe to put things in your own handwriting. Sometimes it's not safe to have it in your voice. Sometimes it's just not safe to. So use your discretion and be wise about how you handle that. Or it might even be having it at a safe place. You know, writing it or burning it. Like as soon as you write it, get it out of your system,
Mm.
throw it away so that you're able to purge it out of your system, but then you're still keeping yourself safe. But with all honesty, I think being able to write things down, it helps me in so many different ways besides just purging it out of my system. It also helped me because then I was able to go back over it. So in the moments where I was questioning like my own reality about things,
Mm.
so I could reference back and be like, no, this did happen like this
From that gaslighting. Yeah.
from the gaslighting section, and I'd be like, okay, Morgan, you're not crazy. This really did happen the way
Wow.
you're remembering it, that kind of thing. But it's interesting. You get to a point where you realize how much of a difference it makes. Just I don't even know the word of just like getting it from your head and your heart down out of your hand onto paper. It does so much for you psychologically, and it helps you to realize that you are moving forward, like the progress you're making and moving forward when you're able to reference back to that. And then also, like one of my favorite things to do when I'm journaling is like my gratitude journal. Like, and I
Mhm.
my kids, they have their own journals too, right? Because if you can find 5 things to be proud of and grateful for in the morning, it sets you up for success because then you're constantly looking for something to be positive, to be good about today instead of negative. Because, girl, we can find all the negative we want. It is not
You
hard.
know, they're gonna find you. You're not looking around for it. It has already found you and knocked you over.
Mhm.
You
And then,
know, oh, go ahead.
no, you so because you can miss how far you've progressed.
Yes.
Sometimes by
Yeah.
being able to reference back, it's like, oh my goodness, 6 months ago I was here, a year ago I was here. It could be last week. Look at the difference in just a
Yeah.
week of me being consistent, like how much my life has changed. Yeah.
Yeah. All of that. And, that's the reason why I want to do this topic because it is something that we love a lot. And people think that it's not that important
Mhm.
or that they start the journey, usually in January. Um, but the bottom line is that you being able to get your thoughts out on paper as a writer, it's always helped me to get writing done. So
Mhm.
that's why I think I've been a writer my entire life. I think as a child, the act of writing did so much for me because it just felt like this is what I want to do with my life. But I have nothing to say because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I would just write out what was happening to me. And before long, what would happen is you start to write things you want, or you start to write things that maybe that happen that you didn't want, or things that are not ideal, or the fantasies. And there's so many different ways of doing it. There's really no rules. There's no rules. But I will say, and I will go into this in a little bit, that if you're willing to take the time, it is a game changer. It is a game changer. Morgan, I've told you before that when I first went to coaching school, way back to my, because I've graduated from, well, now 4 different coaching programs. But my very first coaching program, the first one I ever went to in 2008, I think, 2008, like, yeah, so 2008. And one of the things that we had to do was we had to do a vision board. So, or like a vision statement, I'm sorry. So I thought that, okay, cool. Like, I don't know what that meant, so teaching us. And so they said, it was a way of working with clients, and I won't get all into it. I will do it with you if you want to, what you have to do if you want to work with us. But it is so cool. So I was working with a woman, happened to be in France, and we basically, through a conversation, she'd ask me questions, and by my answers, it was basically what I wanted my life to look like.
Mhm.
It was fantastic because then she came back the next day and wrote me this beautiful vision statement. And she gave it to me both in English and French. So it was so cool.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, to me, that's kind of when I really resurrected journaling. And it was during that training that I knew that I wanted to do something with journals. Like I knew that I want, because seeing what she wrote about me based on my words, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I do want for my life.
Yeah.
And it hit me somewhere in my brain that, you know, if people write stuff down, it's going to make a difference, because I would read that vision statement every day, and it felt I was no way closer to getting those things yet. I will fast forward and tell you that all these years later, if I go back to that vision statement, every single thing has happened. Every single one. Now, that's crazy. I mean, some of those things were like really far fetched,
Yeah.
way out there, and they've all come true. And it wasn't like last year they came true a long time ago. And the thing is that could it have been from me speaking that out, it being written down, me reading it over? So we're going to talk about how you can get started on your journaling journey, because it is worth doing. It's worth looking at. It's worth giving yourself that time.
That sounds great.
So there's a couple of steps to this journaling journey. There's so many books written about it, Morgan. I mean, I don't know if you've read all the books. I've read all the books, because you know me, I'm a bookworm.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I would read so many books on writing. And one of the things that I found was that there would be a lot of instructions about how to do journaling. And I'm thinking, what?
Pen, paper. Ah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, what's all the rules about, right? Then the book started telling you, don't follow any of the rules. You don't have to have a special book. You don't need a special pen, right? Okay, so everybody, let's just not overthink this, okay? I don't care if you decide to do on a sticky note, okay? You could start a journaling journey right on this.
There you
You
go.
could start a journaling journey in a special book like this. You could start it in a journal like this. It doesn't matter. You can just get started. You don't need a fancy book. You don't need a fancy pen. But while we have it, I mean, that's cute, right? Right. Logo, we logo down here getting to after. So I'm just saying, right? The thing is, just get started. So the first thing you're going to do, and I'm going to give you 5 or 6 different steps. Morgan, just jump in whenever time.
Okay.
But I was kind of come up with a list of the things I think that help you along your journey. So the first thing is choosing your format. Like I mentioned, that I've done my phone, I've done writing it out, and I have done index cards, I've done index card books with the little spiral, I've done teeny tiny journals. In fact, right now, I think I'm going to out myself if it's not here, but yes, right now I'm using this teeny, but this book is so small.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So this is one of my books that I'm carrying right now, because this particular book is a little big to fit in my crossbody, right? So that I always have something with me. Some days, I can just go ahead and use my phone, but there are other days where I want to use this to stay by the side of my bed. And then other days I just want to have something with me. I want to be able to write it out. So this is small enough for me to take little notes about my day, for me to just take little tiny short, like really notes when I'm on the train, when I'm on the train platform, when I'm out. I will be walking along writing in this. Okay. Don't tell me I can't, because I see y'all texting and walking, so I should be able to write a book. I'm just saying. Choose what you want to do. It doesn't really matter. That's number one. Morgan, what's your favorite way? Like, what's your favorite journaling format?
So honestly, now it's just writing exactly what's in my head at that moment and not overthinking it. Because before, what I would do is I thought I had to write like for an hour and like write detailed, like exactly walk through step by step by step. And so I
That's
kind
not
of
like homework.
so now I do like this just like burst writing for like I set a timer for 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most, depending on what I need to get out. But typically 5 to 7 minutes is plenty. And just whatever comes to my mind at that moment and just like bullet point it. Like I don't even go into full explanations about what it is. And that has been so helpful. And then I didn't even realize after that the timer goes off, because I legit set the timer on my phone. I go back and look at it, and a lot of it I didn't even realize was on my mind.
Yeah.
That's the cool part.
That's the important thing. So that's the idea. That's that hand and mind going together. There is some brain psychology behind that. I know you're going to talk a little bit about that. Why it's so important to allow your hand to just move. So in my Confident Content Cafe, so my online cafe that I had during 2019, 2020, we always did an exercise to start that off. So it's my trademark. You can take it if you want, but called write and release, right? So we call that wartime because so many times you are warring what's going on in your mind and you're so busy pushing things out. There is actually an internal war. And instead of doing that, what we would do is wartime, write and release. There was write and release. There was also write and retain and write and revisit because there are sometimes when you go through what you wrote, especially if you're doing what you said, you're going to find things, ooh, I need to let this go. And we would physically go cross those things out. Now, you don't have to do your journaling like this, but it's powerful. I do this with my clients all the time. The second thing you would do, look and see things that, I know I got to go do with my kids right now. I got to go be with my husband right now, but this thing is on my mind. Take that thing and circle it and basically put it on a shelf. Know that you can revisit it whenever you're ready to revisit it. It's all a part of the write or that wartime, write and release or write and retain, write and revisit. So I think doing that is really powerful, whether you choose a bullet list or whether you choose a whole page. I like the setting the timer, Morgan, right? So the other thing is again, how long are you going to do it? Is it going to be 5 minutes? Are you going to give yourself a luxurious time? Is it going to be every day? So the second thing is to think of what is a rhythm, but I'm going to put the word here, gentle, a gentle rhythm. This is not college. This is not homework. This is not a thesis or a dissertation, unless you want it to be. This is something to help you calm down. In our tapping practice, when we were going through school together, one of the things was to do a lot of writing, a lot of going through, doing scans of our childhood, doing scans of certain years of our life and getting things out. And you started by writing it out so that you know what to tap on. So I just want to give a little thought that sometimes doing this writing, giving yourself even 5 minutes will reveal to you what you need to tap on. So what you just said, oh my goodness, I didn't even know this was on my mind. That's the subconscious talking out at you. And so it's a really good way to circle those things. If you can't do the tapping right away or breathing exercises right away, reserve those so that you can revisit them later and tap it out.
That's a really, really good idea because like you said, like you don't know those things are bothering you. And so to be able to, because you can even, and then you can come to us when those moments. So bring to us those exact points that came to mind that you circled, and then we can custom make an outline for you to be able to attach for you for that.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I mean, mornings are a really good time to do this. I think your mind is fresh. I do most of my creating in the morning. I also think that revisiting the day in the evening, as opposed to like releasing a bunch of negative things, specifically go find what worked. What worked today?
Yeah.
What was good today? If you give in, we're going to talk about this in a second, like giving yourself the opportunity to go find those things. I like that. But whatever time works, it could be lunchtime. It could be you're been in the boardroom all day, or maybe you're with kids and you're in the classroom all day, or as the summer comes up, maybe you're like an instructor or a camp counselor, and you're like, I better get away from these kids. And maybe it's brought up something in you that you need to release, okay? Pick up thy journal and put it down, okay? Because it may be a way for you to stay in that more positive spirit. It's not to say we're never going to have negative thoughts. We're never going to have negative moments. And my goodness, we're going to have some negative vibes. Let's be so for real. However, are we going to live there? Are we going to live there? All right. The next thing is number 3 would be let it be messy. Now, when I say let it be messy, I should show you one of my books I used to use for wartime in the Confident Content Cafes is gigantic, basically a sketchbook. So one of my clients gave to me this gift. It's a beautiful sketchbook, but it's just a big black book. And I would write in this thing, but they were basically canvas pages. And I would use a different color marker each week. And I would only use it for that wartime with my clients. So it wasn't a typical journal. It was a little extra. But I'll tell you what, punctuation, spelling, because I'm that girl. If I'm writing along and the word is misspelled, I'm going to have to delete and go back. My brain just will not allow me to have misspelled words. That's just the way my brain works. Honey, couldn't nobody read that? Nobody knew what in the world was. Many times me neither. I'm like, what?
Because it was just flowing out of you?
Like, what did that
Yeah.
say? Because it was just, and it wasn't, it's not always needed. So, you could start with start with prompts if you're not sure how to get started, or if
Mhm.
it feels like I'm going to get too emotional or I'm too scattered, start with a prompt like, this is what happened. Or be funny, this is what had happened. Or what had happened was, you know what I mean? Like, give yourself that freedom to be messy, to be funny, to be unstructured, to be scattered, to be emotional. Like,
Mhm.
let it out because it is so powerful. This is not that old journaling where you're sitting there, writing real neat in a little book, which is one of the reasons why for me, journals work and diaries stopped working.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I like the idea of being able to future project. So it doesn't just have to be what just happened. You can
Yeah.
get dreamy in your journal. You can be fantastic, talk about the plans you have. And if you want to be super fancy, you can also use the journal as a place to do a little vision boarding. If you have pictures of things you've done, or if you're doing it, if you're doing it on your phone, drag in pictures and make it whatever you want it to be, because it really changes up the energy when you go back and look back.
It really does, doesn't it? That when you started talking about that, it made me remember, like probably like about within the last 10 years, but closer to like about 8 years ago, I had the children start making journals for themselves also. And it was their own way of doing their own like little therapy. And then basically what it was just drawing pictures or coloring
Yes.
a picture for the day because they're not with doing using words a lot or knowing how to put their words into structure like that. So just having them draw pictures in their book, and that actually helped a lot because it showed me where their heads were that day. If they were happy, sad, angry, mad,
Mm,
what was going
mm,
on, if they were getting yelled at school,
mm,
if they were struggling in school, if they were getting bullied on the playground, whatever,
mm.
or also in the house, that worked out good. And then on the flip side of that, how I was telling you earlier, I would write things down so I could go back and visit it.
Mhm.
Later on, it was interesting because by me taking the time to get and release everything that was in my head and to write down what was happening throughout the day turned out to be a huge benefit for the children and I when I ended up having to go to court because everything was
You
logged.
have all that. Wow.
Yeah.
You
So
have a whole, it's like a log.
yeah, it's a log of dates that this was going on. And I wasn't even trying to do it like that. I
No,
was trying to make sure I wasn't going
survive.
to be. Yeah. So it
Wow.
was funny how by releasing what was inside of me turned out to help us.
Have a double benefit.
Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really powerful, Morgan. I just put this little banner up, write it down, watch it happen. Because as you were saying that, I was like, that's exactly it. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes what we're watching happen hasn't happened yet. We
Mhm.
don't know what's going to come from it. For me, and it's probably much to the chagrin of whoever, when I'm gone, has to go through all this mess that I have, because I have probably everything I've written ever in this house somewhere. Um, and I just don't think it's clutter. I am a collector of things when it comes to that. But when it comes to my words and the past and the memories and things like that, it's just so important to me. And I think revisiting it, which is actually number 5, revisiting your words. It could be 90 days. It could be 6 months. Now, we're not talking about when you first write something, and as I was mentioning, crossing things out, circling them, whatever. But
Mhm.
revisiting things and figuring out, wow, look at what's changed for me. Look how far,
Right?
which is what you were saying before, or look what
Yeah.
I fixed. Or I'm no longer in that situation. And I think sometimes, because as women, especially in midlife, with all these changes that are happening to our body, changes are happening to our emotions, changes are happening in our family structure and our construct at work, the way people respect or ignore us or view us as invisible. All these things are happening. You might start being really down on yourself. You might start allowing that negative self talk to make you think that you're not worth anything. And you
Mhm.
know how we feel about that, but it
Yeah.
could happen. One of the things that's so powerful about having a journal over time is you then actually see, is that a pattern for you where you
Mm.
always end up being negative about yourself? Or did you used to have much bigger issues and you're able to say, you know what? Before I go down this rabbit hole that I'm actually looking pretty good right about now.
Right?
Sometimes we miss it because we're in it, like we're in stuff, and we are missing how good things are.
Yeah, giving yourself grace and realizing the progress that you've made. That's a really, really good point because sometimes you'll come to me and you'll be like, "Mo, look at how far you've come." Like,
Yeah.
you're like, "Even in this last year, baby," you're like, "Look at how much you've accomplished and where you and the kids are," and I forget because I'm in a struggle right now today, I
Yes.
struggle right this minute, and so I forget to acknowledge all of the successes that I have had, and I think we do that as women a lot. We're more inclined to we're very hard on ourselves, very
We're
critical.
very, very, very hard on ourselves.
So making sure we're giving ourselves grace is gonna be a very
Yeah.
important part of this, and then by writing things out, I think that's a really good way for us to do that,
Yeah.
honey.
So I'm going to just say real quickly, if you've never seen my book, all right, this is Fat and Happy. It stands for Focus, Attention, and Take Time. And it was born out of, again, this need for me to find positive ways of seeing each day. And they were small things. They were
Mm,
little tiny celebrations. It could have been the way a bird fella, landed on my porch and which, let me digress for 1 second. I am so ADHD sometimes. Girl, I saw something on TikTok the other day that I'm absolutely going to do. My mom-in-law and my husband are probably going to kill me. But someone made a bird charcuterie board and put it on their porch. All these different birds came. So it had nuts and seeds and peanuts, and it had, fresh fruit and all these different kind of birds came, and they just sat and did bird watching. Are you kidding me right now? I
amazing.
digress, but that thing killed me. If I can find the video, I'll put the link up. I loved it, and I'm totally gonna do that. Um, that's the kind of thing, like, when I saw that, that gave me so much joy. It's not even me doing it. It was just something beautiful that I saw. That's what I was putting in this book back in the day
Mhm.
before I had this book and I was journaling. One of the things I want to mention in here again, if you don't have this, one of the way the construct works is that each week, it's 25 weeks, there's a key. And then there are questions. There are questions for you to answer, 6 questions, one question for every day. This could be your journal for 25 weeks. Nothing else needs to be done. You're asked a question. So, for example, in this one, it says, "What does a typical weekday, Monday through Friday, and weekend, Saturday, Sunday, look like for you? How can you add a few things that are new and different from your regular routine?" See, no one's asking you that. They just, oh, you go to work, you come home, you cook dinner, you go to bed, you go to the gym, you do, right? But thinking about wanting to shake things up a little bit, which is what we were talking about last a couple of weeks ago, shaking things up. What if you were writing that down and allowing your mind to start to think about those questions? That's what a book like this does. So if you get this book or you get any other book, I would suggest, if it has prompt questions, try to find one that doesn't have all the same questions every single day.
Mm,
Use the questions to help you to journal and allow the journal to respond for you. Here's what I mean. This is under the discovery. Then every week after the first 3 days, the next 3 days, you have the consider section. And so the consider section is going to give you some fodder to think about. What things could you do? It's giving you some of, like, my mind as a confidence coach that you'd be able to work on next. And then we get into the fat and happy part, right? And so in the fat and happy part, you're going to notice that each day, so for example, this is day 43, there's going to be 3 things in there that I would have thought of whenever that day was, and 3 ways for you to put some in as well. So the whole point is giving yourself the opportunity to allow your journal to respond to you. So for example, um, ask questions and then wait for the answers. Now I know that sounds crazy because books don't talk back. I know. But sometimes your wisdom shows up in your own handwriting. If you use a prompt like, "What do I need today?" Your inner wisdom will come out and will tell you if you're writing. Give yourself the thought. It's like a prompt.
yeah.
Or say, "What part of me needs more love right now? What part of me needs gentleness?" And then whatever comes out, then you can tap on that as well.
Hmm.
It's really profound that when we're seeking solutions sometimes, you could even use this one. I never thought this one would work. I did this one with one of my, maybe my second or third coach that I had. And she taught me this, that I know you don't know the answer yet, but if you did know the answer, what would it be? Now that seems like it couldn't possibly work, Morgan, but let me tell you something. That thing is so crazy. It works.
Right? I remember you told me to do that one time. We were doing something else for work, and you're like, "Okay, well, what would it be if you did know?" And I was like, "Oh, well, da 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 da." And you just turned just like that. turned your head sideways. And you're like, well, didn't you just answer your own self? And I was like, oh,
Isn't
yes.
that ridiculous? But it works. The brain is basically looking, it says, oh, we're looking for answers for this thing, as opposed to saying, I don't know what to do. Then the brain goes, me neither.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say to it, what would we do? What would you know if you did know? Like, what would you tell? Then all of a sudden, solutions and answers start coming down. It's beautiful if you start journaling that stuff out. Again, not stopping to revisit in the moment, but giving yourself that timer. If I did know, what would the answer be? And even if the answers don't come out like immediately, options might come out. Thoughts and suggestions might come out. Little tiny advice might come out. Things you forgot to notate might come out just by you asking your brain. It's fascinating because writing activates our, you know, I love this one, our articulating activating system. And so what happens is it starts looking for stuff like, let me find answers. It does. And that's what writing does. It actually activates parts of your brain. So look, I know for a fact that it has done it for me. Morgan, I've watched you do it. I've physically watched you writing along and go, tone, tone, because all of a sudden, the answers started coming to you. And I know you are very cautious and very considerate. You know, you take a lot of consideration with your brain because of some things that have happened to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I love is like the brain science, right? Behind things. And that's why, I mean, girl, I ain't no neurosurgeon or a specialist or anything like that, but I am fascinated by how our brains work because I've always tried to figure out, well, what makes a person do this, this, and this? What is causing them? If you have these kind of traumas or life experiences, does it consistently make you act this way? You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But so that's one of my favorite things is to learn about how the brain works. But when you take your journaling and add it into learning about the neuroscience of the brain, it's really beautiful to see how when you do write things out, your body does talk back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, instantly while I'm writing, I kid you not, baby girl, I will be writing out something and then my tummy will start hurting.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that was something, right? And I'll keep doing something. I'll get a headache, like a shooting pain, or behind my eye, things like that. So that's one
because
way.
bringing up memories, it's triggering your body is literally telling you, address me, please.
And that's where our tapping comes in. That's where I would constantly have to be like, okay, well, we're just going to pause right here. I'm going to start tapping on this right now. And then one thing that I would do is like, I wouldn't even go through like the whole like three sections of it. I would just on my karate chop point, I would just start tapping on that.
Yeah.
And then whatever I was thinking about in that moment that was attached to what I had just written down, just keep tapping on it. And then it would flow to the next, to the next, to the next. It worked out. And then once it worked itself out, I was like, okay, well, now we can move on to the next thing.
It's really good, which is why sometimes if you work with us, you may be speaking out loud. We may have you writing. You know, I'm not going to say that Morgan and I are always because we do have our different modalities and the different places that of healing that we've come from. That we're always very traditional. We're not. I've been making stuff. Listen, I have done so many things that I'm going to incorporate all the things. It's like coaching with Utch is going to be like a quilt, a beautiful patchwork quilt where we're going to bring in all of the different colors, all the different designs, all of the different healing modalities and help them work together. For me, I can never coach without some journaling. Cannot do it. To me, it's such an integral part. And I'll tell you, if the act of rereading your journals, it starts to feel a little bit funny, you know, realize that healing is happening in real time. So sometimes, as you mentioned, like the stomach's doing something, this is going on, whatever, healing is actually happening. So either part of your body is tapping you, say, excuse me, Morgan,
Right.
can you pay attention? We down here. Can you pay attention to us? Or healing is actually taking place as you release those things. It's not magical. It's not miraculous. It is how our brain works to create solutions. When we have questions, it's going to try and create a solution. If we have emotional sadness, it's trying to find like, how can I counter this? And so by us being willing to do this work, again, we took 5-6 minutes. It makes such a big difference.
And it's not having to do it for hours again, like we had mentioned, like just taking a couple of minutes to get the movement of your hand going. And then it's it is just so helpful in more ways than I could even express, right? But just to go back to a minute ago, being able to release what was going on in those moments in time when we know we're stressed out and we know that there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
and you may not have a safe person to talk to, because you could be worried about people, one, not believing you, or even, if I talk to this person or this therapist or this counselor, are they going to then turn around and try to take my children from me, or
Oh,
things like that, because they know that the house is not safe. Having a journal to write in is such a beautiful option to have, and then also to be able to know that, like I said before, there's options of, if you're going to be writing in something, there's even apps and things that you can have on your phone that are encrypted so that it is safe for you, to be able to do that. Or, like I mentioned before, you can take it, write it, and then burn it, release it. But just having that safe place to go is really a wonderful thing, and it's an immediate release.
immediate. I can remember times when, um, even now, sometimes there's things I want to say and it's just too damaging. There's been times even when we were in the middle of taping a podcast and, I'm just honest and authentic. And I'm just like, ooh, that's a little bit too much to share with the public. You know what I mean? And so those are things that I have to go back and write it down. Now, I don't have to really worry right now about what I write down. Anyone in my household, we found, I feel very safe in that way. But
Mhm.
it wasn't always the case because of the things I needed to talk about. Sometimes you have secrets, you have dark feelings, you have memories, you have things that you need to get out and you're sitting on them.
Yeah.
You're not allowing them out and you need to get them out. I would like to try something that um, we are going to get into some tapping, but I want to try something. So, as I was mentioning before, there's write and release. And I don't know where you are right now when you're listening to this, but I would love for you to get an idea of what this feels like. I'm going to set a timer, Morgan. Grab a journal, grab something. If you decide to use your computer, whatever you do, I am going to use my Getting to After journal. And by the way, if you guys want one of these, comes the great pen, comes
Mhm.
inside with one of our tapping point postcards. If you want one of these, just comment below and we'll let you know how to get one. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, just 3 minutes. I'll
Okay.
put some music on and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some write and release and kind of go through what that looks like. We don't plan stuff. Like stuff comes, I'm like, oh, we should totally do this right now.
I'm like,
So
"Oh, wait a second, I didn't know about this."
no, I can't, I don't always know stuff, right? So let's do it. We're going to do game.
Oh, girl, you know it.
All right, let's do it. Like I got to find a fresh page here in my journal.
Mhm.
And again, write and release is all about this. Again, this may not be your regular journal. You may just grab a piece of paper and do this. You may be deciding to do it on your computer and just type it out. But I'm going to set a short timer, 3 minutes. 3 minutes I'm going to set. Let me do it right here. Set a timer for 3 minutes on my phone. And it doesn't matter what you write. It doesn't matter. The goal is to just keep your hand moving. Morgan, you have a journal nearby?
I do. Look, it's right here.
See? We're always prepared. So I'm going to set this little timer for 3 minutes. I'm going to throw some music on. When the time gets to be about 15 seconds, I'm going to let you know. Please join us. Please join us for this. Maybe we'll make this a regular segment. I believe that writing and releasing is so powerful. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We have about 15 seconds. Pencils down. What do you think, Morgan?
Woo! That was a lot of one word. Wow.
I hope that you guys who are here on this premiere did this exercise. And if you didn't, please come back and revisit this. You don't have to do it with us, but I will tell you, Morgan, I don't know, I might have to make this a regular little segment, something we do from time to time because it's so good. I will tell you, without reading this mess, I wrote about a page and a half. And one of the first things I did, I said, what do I want? Because I haven't done that in a while. And because we just talked about it, I said, what do I want? And you know the word that's circled. Now, you knowing me, what do you think I wrote?
Peace.
Ma'am. Peace. Because it is the only thing that matters to me right about now. In my midlife, I need peace, man. In fact, one of the things I wrote, and I don't mind saying this, of course, I talked about my kids as well. One of the things I said is that I need to know more. I need to do more, but I do not need to have more. That's deep. I didn't know that. I thought I needed more. Okay. You know what I mean? As I wrote it down, I was like, and it stopped as the timer went. My question was, what is my more? Now that's something that I need to tap on. Like, what? Like, what? So please do this exercise. It's so very powerful. It will really change things for you. It will open your mind up. Journaling makes a difference. Now, we are going to do a little bit of tapping. We are, because so many of us feel like, I don't know how to begin. I don't know where to begin. If I'm going to do this, is it going to be weird for me? Is it going to be like, you don't know what to do. And so, or you think I don't have the right tools, or, I don't know how to get started. All those negative things, we're not about that life. What we're going to do though, because we are just about out of time, we're going to do a separate tapping transformation. It's going to start right after this video so that if you need to come back and revisit it, you can, or if you're ready, you can go ahead and jump in with us. Morgan, I loved, we weren't even going to talk about this today. And I'm so glad that we did. I'm so glad we decided to talk about this today. As you mentioned, it doesn't have to be years and years that you're doing this. It doesn't. But write things down, watch them happen. And one of the things I want to, of course, always mention, if you would like to do some of this work, you want to do something like this and you don't want to do it just by yourself, make sure that you go to bit.ly/tap-chat. Now, we do this kind of work. We also do tapping. We also do grounding, breathing, body scans. We also do a whole host of other things because we're just collectively that girl. Okay. Oh, Morgan, thank you, Mama.
Yeah, that's what I love about what we do though, is we each bring something completely different to the table. And because of that, we have a huge plethora of different modalities to help you with and to use. So if one isn't working for you, and when we're dealing one-on-one with you, that's what's beautiful, is we get to really, really hone in on what type, what exactly is going to work for each individual person. And sometimes this works for you this week and we need to switch it up next week to something else. So it's just really awesome to be able to be a part of this.
That's good. All right. So listen, one more time, because soon our summer issue is going to be coming out. You have a little bit more time to get the spring issue of Getting to After. If you haven't downloaded this yet, if you haven't joined our list, what is taking you so long? Get on our list. Make sure you don't miss our magazine. Go to bit.ly/G2A-spring and find out about all the cool things we're talking about, all of our articles, different ways of tapping, learning about how you can be a part of what we're all about. We will see you next time. Make sure you jump into the tapping that comes next, because it's going to be that good. I'll see you though next time. Love you.
Bye.